Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another... Wait a minute. This is not a Weekly Geek. This is, in fact, an episode of a series I like to call Why I Play or Why We Play, which basically focuses on the reasons behind gaming, right? No, we don't need to get all philosophical about this or anything. It's just a general why you play whatever games you play, or what's the reason behind you playing the games. Oh wait, I'm rambling. So I'm playing for the video today. I've done some recording on the mic here. Did the recording thing, and I recorded some gameplay of Diablo 3. There's two reasonings behind this. Well, one reasoning, actually. So I want two. There's two reasonings. I want you guys to have something to look at while I yammer, or while I talk about this guy's Why I Play. He sent me an entire freaking essay, man. It was amazing. And the second reason is I met him back in high school just before Diablo 2 came out. My copy of Diablo 2 is back in South Africa, so I can't play it. So I decided to do some gameplay of Diablo 3, just as an homage to our recordings, right? To our meetup. This is a very close friend of mine. I met him back in 2000, I think. Just before Diablo 2 came out, essentially. Diablo 2... Yeah, just before Diablo 2 came out. And yeah, this is an homage to the guy. He's a brilliant friend of mine. He is an author. I still have to email him to talk about his book and everything. And yeah, without any further ado, you should enjoy this. You should enjoy this video of Why I Play. It's a strange question to ask, I guess. Overall, you wouldn't really put a great deal of thought into the things you regularly do, especially not the things you really enjoy. Why do people enjoy the things that others don't? I guess people just don't want to overthink it. Why would you want to constantly question yourself, who you are, why you breathe, eat and sleep? It's just what you prefer to do. Alright, avoiding the overly philosophical explanation I just brought up, let me explain my thoughts a little better. To me, gaming plays a dual role in my life. I'll explore the more obvious reason first. Relaxation. I know, that's pretty straightforward, right? Well, that's sort of the point. After all, why would you want to occupy your time with an activity if you cannot at least enjoy it? The very purpose of a game, its ultimate purpose perhaps, is to be enjoyed. To evoke even a slight inkling of pleasure and gratification. Like I said, that's the obvious answer. I like kicking my feet up after a long day and traverse the vastness of an uncharted world and see what awaits around the next bend. If the day gets a little too hectic and frustrating, then I know I can always retreat back to my PC. Gaming can offer variation to any given situation, something to suit every mood, every desire. It's there if I only want to relax, but if I need something to challenge myself a bit more, to boggle my mind with more complex intricacies, or unnerve myself with situations a bit more hair-raising and frightening, gaming can offer either or both. Games can deliver entertainment for any and every goal one can think of. Even when I feel like spending some time with the people closest to me, or total strangers, games can effortlessly provide the medium for social interaction. From me and my preschool friends playing Contra on my NES to a LAN at a friend's house to play Diablo throughout the weekend. It's even been a go-to topic at work to get to know colleagues a bit better. Gaming can strengthen bonds far more often than it can potentially break them, and it's fulfilled a social component in my life for as long as I can remember. With that out of the way, I'll get onto its second purpose in my life. While the relaxation half of my gaming lifestyle is the obvious element, as I said, the other half will require a bit more explaining. I play games because it's part of who I am. In order to clarify that without sounding like a cheesy commercial, I need to go back to the past and just talk a bit of my early life. As a child, I didn't really enjoy my surroundings a whole lot. While I fell madly in love with films like Star Wars, Robocop, Back to the Future, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Conan the Barbarian, to name only a handful, I couldn't help but wonder why I had to be here and couldn't be there. Back then, I also avidly watched countless 80s cartoons, never missing an episode. The Dino Riders and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were in almost every regard more my friends than the children at school were. They weren't necessarily bad kids, as I didn't really have anything against them, but they just weren't very interesting to me. After all, what drooling snot-nosed kid had anything worth comparing to the feline sword-wielding likes of Lionel? On top of that, we moved around so much that I saw no point in seeking friends at school. If I possessed entire worlds of wonder at my fingertips, then why would I want to pursue short-lived friendships? Growing up with these wondrous worlds to occupy my mind, I looked at the world and it meant so very little to me. Living a life in the small, isolated communities of the South African prison services brought some perspective to everything. In these communities we saw prisoners every day. Those carrying lighter sentences even cleaned our yards, and the whole controversial state of the country dominated every conversation, especially throughout our prison community. The world had firm ideas of who the bad guys were, as it always had over here and abroad. But I looked at them, at these criminals and so-called villains of our world, and I couldn't observe in them the Shredder battling the Turtles, or the evil Emperor electrocuting Luke as he laughed with glee. I only saw people bickering, and it meant nothing to me. It all just seemed so very small, so utterly mundane to me. As a child, movies swayed my world. I wanted to create films, create true monsters for people to fear. I kept many notebooks wherein I drew anything and everything that I liked. Dinosaurs, Star Wars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even Jaws. They went on the adventures I wanted to see them pursue. They interacted with each other. They shared the pages and my mind. Sadly, those notebooks had been lost, as we constantly moved from one city to another. I didn't mind it though, as they were still there with me, keeping my thoughts occupied whenever we moved. Those stories stayed a part of me, and they still are. Now, I haven't talked about gaming so far, but that is the point. The years went by, and along the way my gaming addiction traveled along with me. I loved my gaming console. I played Galaga and Super Mario Bros. On my Nintendo home system. All of my games formed a monumental part of my life. I played games every single day, owning over 30 cartridge games in all. Later, I played the hell out of my Sega Mega Drive, from Sonic the Hedgehog through to Mortal Kombat. I owned just as many games on my Sega, and yet, gaming always dominated that entertainment part of my needs, while films really spoke to me. More than anything, I wanted to be a filmmaker. All of that changed though, when I first discovered PC gaming. I spent more money than feasible at the local PC cafe. Friday afternoons meant everything to me. Playing Diablo, Duke Nukem, and Command & Conquer. I quickly realized that it entertained me far more than any console game ever had. Command & Conquer evoked my love for strategy gaming, a style that surpasses anything I'd ever experienced on a console, while Duke Nukem and Diablo allowed me to play alongside other players in far more compelling ways than the limited two-player consoles. PC games opened doors to me, and I could never look at a console the same after that. I needed my own PC, and I eventually got one for my birthday. But in 1 year, everything changed. In the span of 1 year, 3 games were released that infused my life with a newfound drive. StarCraft, Half-Life, and Baldur's Gate was released like any other game. They graced the shelves with reviews stating universal praise, compact discs enclosed in colorful containers, and eager gamers bought them with clammy palms. Looking back though, it feels like almost a mystical occurrence in my life. The tiny space of 1 year brought about an advent. Destiny. It feels like something bigger than me, greater than one person can try to understand. It was astronomical in its design, and yet it was entirely personal. It impacted my life dramatically. To me, it meant everything. The level of storytelling in these games were unlike anything I've ever seen, ever experienced for that matter. My hands condemned a poor woman to a life of genocide and rage, while it led the person who cared for her down a path of single-minded vengeance. Through my actions, one man caused an accident that broke the very foundations of reality. It turned his world upside down, violent, and brought down the wrath of the government upon him. I led the charge to end the war by killing my half-brother, and through that I discovered my own divinity. These 3 games engrossed me, submerged my consciousness into a state of otherworldliness, but most importantly, they inspired me to become more. These early stories evoked a passion inside of me. Gordon Freeman showed me how he could break reality, and since then, I've been obsessed with science. Ever since I experienced this event through his eyes, reality and its limited boundaries have been rattling my mind. It's evoked a passion in me to explore. Baldur's Gate opened a new realm before me. It showed me the wonders of D&D. As a young boy, slaying Sarevok for the first time, I couldn't have imagined the tremendous role D&D would come to play in my life. The people I would meet, and the friendships and experiences I've gained because of it. It introduced me to the first fantasy writer I ever read, which opened the worlds of tremendously talented writers before me. These 3 games became a part of my life in monumental ways. They took me back to my roots. For the first time in years, I picked up a notebook once more, and I started writing and drawing. I conceived the earth at war, beset by demons emerging from the underground, nature gaining sentience to protect the earth, humanity evolving into cyborgs to win this war, and later on, dinosaur aliens invading from their new homeworld to stop a doomed planet from plunging the Milky Way into war. It was a weak story, but I loved it nonetheless. It was my homage to StarCraft. I named it Armageddon, and the very next year, I cursed Michael Bay for using the name of my game for his disaster film. My Armageddon changed over time though. It moved into space, to the dinosaur planet, and the name changed to Utopia. The concept kept on changing over the years, evolving as I matured. Perhaps it matured along with me, and eventually my idea split my concept into 2 realms. The one has the working title of Anarchy, while the other became the Torn Realm, the very first novel I wrote to completion. If storytelling represents the foundations of my being, then in the construction of who I am, gaming represents the mortar that keeps me intact. Over the years, my passion for gaming changed. It grew. I can't imagine life without it. To this day, I want to tell stories. It's such a huge part of my life. Just like the brilliant stories I read, watch and play. I want to give back, create my own, and say thank you to those master craftsmen who've had such a monumental impact on my life. I want people to read, watch and play my stories. I want people to experience it as my way of showing gratitude. Whenever someone delves into the tales I create, I want them to know where I came from, and with me feel thankful. Making stories is my way of saying thank you to Lucas, Spielberg and Tolkien, to Blizzard, Valve and BioWare. They've given me so much throughout my life, helped play a part in becoming who I am. How can I not say thank you? Hope you've enjoyed that video. Leave a like and subscribe if you did, or subscribe if you did. And until next time, this is me, Zaffageek, saying you should have a geeky good one.